What's up, Culture Drop? I'm Galen. This video is about how to quit your job like a boss. Boss. You got a boss, you ain't a boss. Boss. This is Beyonce, okay? Boss. Okay. Intro. As fun and exciting as it may feel, or you imagine to be like, mic drop, be like, I'm out of here, peace out, flip a table, like freak out. Don't do that. It is really important to be professional no matter what. The idea of doing like a mic drop on the way out, burn the place to the ground, metaphorically, don't like actually light things on fire, that's illegal. Sounds cool, but the truth is that people are watching you. So don't do that. It's a bad look. And you don't know, right? Down the road, the coworkers, the people around you are watching, right? And like in terms of like your reputation, for you to be professional no matter what is really, really important for yourself, your own integrity. This brings to mind this idea that I really like, which is like, don't treat other people based on who they are. Treat other people based on who you are. To be wholly professional, even if you're toxic job, the culture is terrible, you hate your boss, you need to walk out with like head held high and integrity. Your reputation is at stake. You never know what opportunities you'll miss out on if you try to get famous on TikTok by recording yourself doing something crazy. It's not a good look professionally. When leaving a job, it's important to keep your contacts and reputation intact, which brings me to like the second kind of element of this is like, don't burn bridges with colleagues, coworkers, other bosses, other leaders in the organization that aren't your direct leader. You never know when that person, right, leaves a company and they're thinking of like, oh, who should I hire? And they remember you with this like positive attitude as somebody who was awesome, who left with dignity, not dignity, but like with integrity. You never know what opportunities like your colleagues, now they work for another company and they're hired and they have the opportunity to hire you. All of those things, don't burn bridges, even with the people that you hate the most. Treating your employer and people around you as customers, even the ones that you hate. Even when you're firing a customer or whatever, you do it with grace, do it with professionalism every single time, all the time. You don't know what opportunities that you will miss out on by doing it poorly, or gain by doing it with your head up and doing it the right way. Another element of that is that even if you're quitting, leaving a job is loss, right? And there's grief. And I think it's important to like, no matter what, even if you hate that company, there's a fair amount of emotion that comes along with that. And remembering that the people that you work with, your peers, you still have to interact with these people and run into them in the business world, in your like sphere of influence. You'll see them at conferences, this kind of stuff. So another thing to remember that like these people stay in your network. They're your contacts, they're your colleagues in the business universe. Keep those contacts, like keep that networking. It doesn't hurt you to keep those like relationships and bridges open as opposed to burning them on the way out. Another tip here is with giving notice and like being on the way out. I would always plan for 0 days. Plan for the second that you give notice or whatever, that like they could be like, all right, you need to leave right now. That's fine, plan for that. But I think 2 weeks is kind of like the standard thing. Depending on your position and the context and like how difficult it's gonna be to fill in your position, I think it's nice to give as much notice as possible. So if you can, if you're not already starting another job, give 4 weeks notice, help offer to like train your replacement, all that kind of stuff, which again, even if you hate this company and your boss, like doing right by them is good for your reputation. Colleagues, other people around you, they see that and share that at job interviews and like, this company that I hated, but I left and I did this thing because like, right, making sure that that company was intact, that I didn't leave a huge hole. It's a good look for you to do that. Give as much notice as you possibly can. Another couple things I want to say about this, depending on context and situation, but a lot of people can't just like storm out and quit their job, even though it sucks. And I'm a huge proponent of breaking up if you're in a relationship that doesn't work for you. So if you hate your job, it's toxic, your boss is terrible, like leave as soon as possible. But also like be proactive, network, right? Tap into your network, tap into people that you know, look around for a job before you leave so that you're kind of like safe. I think that's really important to like be proactive about that, but I'm always a proponent of like employees that don't want to be in a company. Both of them should be actively leaving, right? Like if you hate your job, get out. If you have an employee who's like a real challenge and a problem, they like, well, this like, they have to go. It's good to end relationships that are bad. The last thing I want to say is this, and I know this isn't done very often and it's risky. So context really, using discretion and context matters here, but depending on your relationship with your boss, I think it's also okay to not make it a secret. I think a lot of times we think like, oh, if my boss knows I'm looking around or I'm planning on leaving, I'll get fired or get in trouble. It's like, you're already checked out. You're already way out the door. So if you have a healthy relationship with your boss and they're like a reasonable person, I don't necessarily think there's a reason to hide that, because if you have your boss in your corner, they know that you're looking around, they might extend you a little bit of grace to like go for interviews or help you and give you like a good testimonial on the way out kind of thing. So I think a lot of times it's taboo. We're afraid to let a company know like, hey, I'm planning on being out the door, but that could turn into a big raise for you, which might not mean not make any difference to your decision, but bringing your boss along earlier in the process, I think is good. Sometimes people are upset about their job for whatever reason, and they just choose to look around or leave before saying, hey, I'm unhappy and I'm gonna start looking around. That could lead to a conversation that's like, hey, how can we make this better? So just a couple thoughts in that space, but like quitting your job like a boss, do it. Avoid the mic drop, even though that sounds fun. Always professional, always head up, always high integrity. Like your reputation is on the line, your contacts, don't burn bridges. You don't need to. You can be like, I'll never go down that bridge again because it's terrible, but you don't need to burn it. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have our weekly email list, The Culture Drop. You can subscribe to that and get these emails right in your inbox. Follow our social media channels. Put out a lot of free content around being more awesome and building great teams.